In the history of ancient Israel, few names shine as brightly as King Solomon, the son of King David, the ruler of a united and prosperous kingdom, a man blessed with extraordinary wisdom from God. In 1 Kings 3, Solomon does something remarkable. He does not ask God for riches. He does not ask for power. He asks for wisdom, and God grants it abundantly. Solomon becomes known as the wisest man who ever lived. His kingdom flourishes, his wealth becomes unmatched. Kings and queens travel from distant lands just to hear him speak. And yet, hidden within this story of greatness is a troubling reality, a question that has puzzled readers for generations. Why did such a wise king have 700 wives and 300 concubines? Was it wisdom? Was it culture? Or was it something else? The Bible speaks clearly about this. In 1 Kings 11:3, it says, "He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray." This is not symbolic language, it is literal. 1,000 women connected to one man. But what does this mean? In ancient times, a concubine was a woman who lived with a man like a wife, but did not have the same legal status. She was part of the household, often for companionship, childbearing, social or political reasons. Earlier, in 1 Kings 3:1, we see the beginning of this pattern. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married his daughter. This was not just a personal decision, it was strategic, and it sets the stage for what follows. To understand Solomon's marriages, we must understand the world he lived in. In ancient times, kings did not build alliances with contracts, they built them through marriage. When Solomon married the daughter of Pharaoh, he wasn't just gaining a wife, he was securing peace with Egypt. Each marriage represented a political alliance, a peace agreement, a strengthening of influence. Much of Solomon's wives were foreign princesses, daughters of rulers, representatives of other nations. Through these marriages, Solomon expanded his influence across regions. He reduced the likelihood of war. He built connections. From a political perspective, this was strategic brilliance. But from a spiritual perspective, it carried danger. It is important to understand polygamy was not unusual for kings in the ancient Near East. Many rulers had multiple wives, large harems, and concubines. It was seen as a sign of wealth, power, and status. But just because something was common does not mean it was God's design. From the very beginning, in Genesis 2:24, we read, "A man shall leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." One man, one woman. God's design was clear. So while culture accepted many wives, God's ideal remained different. Long before Solomon became king, God had already given a warning. In Deuteronomy 17:17, it says, "The king must not take many wives, or his heart will be led astray." This is crucial. God did not simply forbid it without reason. He explained the consequence. His heart would be turned away. Solomon knew this law. As a king of Israel, he was expected to follow it. But over time, he chose not to. Solomon was wise, but he was still human, and human nature is vulnerable, especially when surrounded by wealth, power, and success. His kingdom was secure, his influence was vast, and with that came opportunity. Opportunity turned into desire, desire turned into excess, and excess led to compromise. This is one of the most important lessons in his story. Wisdom does not make a person immune to temptation. Even the wisest can fall if they stop obeying God. The Bible tells us exactly what happened next. In 1 Kings 11:4, it says, "As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God." This is the turning point. The danger God warned about became reality. Many of Solomon's wives came from nations that worshipped other gods, and over time he allowed their practices, he built altars for their gods, he participated in idolatry. This was not a small mistake, it was a spiritual decline. The man who once built the temple of God now allowed the worship of false gods. His heart was divided. God did not ignore this. There were consequences. In 1 Kings 11, God declares that the kingdom would be torn apart, not during Solomon's lifetime, but after his death. And this is exactly what happened. The United Kingdom of Israel was divided into two: Israel, north, and Judah, south. What began as wisdom and blessing ended in division, not because God failed, but because Solomon turned away. Solomon's story is not just history. It is a lesson, a warning, a reflection of human nature. Here are the key truths. 1. Wisdom is not enough without obedience. You can know what is right and still choose what is wrong. 2. Relationships shape your life. The people around you shape your life spiritually and emotionally. 3. Small compromises lead to big consequences. What begins as a decision can become a downfall. 4. God's warnings are meant to protect, not restrict. Every command has purpose. So why did Solomon have 700 wives and 300 concubines? Not because God approved it, not because it was wise, but because of political strategy, cultural influence, personal desire, and ultimately disobedience. Solomon's life is both inspiring and cautionary. He began with humility, he walked in wisdom, but he ended in compromise. And his story reminds us, no amount of success, no level of wisdom can replace a heart that is fully devoted to God. Because in the end, what matters most is not how powerful you become, but how faithful you remain.